The Story of Mary MacLane, Part 8. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Kristen Hughes. The Story of Mary MacLane by Mary MacLane. Part 8. February 13th. So then, yes. As I have said, I find that I am quite odd. My various acquaintances say that I am funny. They say, "Oh, it's that May MacLane, Dolly's younger sister. She's funny." But I call it oddity. I bear the hallmark of oddity. There was a time, a year or two since, when I was an exceedingly sensitive little fool. Sensitive, in that it used to strike very deep when my young acquaintances would call me funny and find in me a vent for their distinctly unfriendly ridicule. My years in the high school were not years of joy. 2 years ago I had not yet risen above these things. I was a sensitive little fool. But that sensitiveness, I rejoice to say, has gone from me. The opinion of these young people, or of these old people, is now a thing that is quite unable to affect me. The more I see of conventionality, it seems, the more I am odd. Though I am young and feminine, very feminine, yet I am not that quaint conceit, a girl. The sort of person that Laura E. Richards writes about, and Nora Perry and Louisa M. Alcott. Girls with bright eyes and with charming faces. They always have charming faces. Standing with reluctant feet where the brook and river meet, and all that sort of thing. I missed all that. I have read some girl books a few years ago, Hildegard Graham and What Katy Did and all, but I read them from afar. I looked at those creatures from behind a high board fence. I felt as if I had more tastes in common with the Jews wandering through the wilderness, or with a band of fighting Amazons. I am not a girl, I am a woman of a kind. I began to be a woman at 12, or more properly, a genius. And then usually, if one is not a girl, one is a heroine, of the kind you read about. But I am not a heroine either. A heroine is beautiful. Eyes like the sea shoot opaque glances from under drooping lids, walks with undulating movements. Her bright smile haunts one still, falls methodically in love with a man. Always with a man. Eats things, they are always called viands, with a delicate appetite. And on special occasions her voice is full of tears. I do none of these things. I am not beautiful. I do not walk with undulating movements. Indeed, I have never seen anyone walk so, except perhaps a cow that has been overfed. My bright smile haunts no one. I shoot no opaque glances from my eyes, which are not like the sea by any means. I have never eaten any viands, and my appetite for what I do eat is most excellent. And my voice has never yet, to my knowledge, been full of tears. No, I am not a heroine. There never seemed to be any plain heroines, except Jane Eyre, and she was very unsatisfactory. She should have entered into marriage with her beloved Rochester in the first place. I should have. Let there be a dozen mad wives upstairs. But I suppose the author thought she must give her heroine some desirable thing, high moral principles, since she was not beautiful. Some people say that beauty is a curse. It may be true, but I'm sure I should not have at all minded being cursed a little. And I know several persons who might well say the same. But anyway, I wish someone would write a book about a plain, bad heroine, so that I might feel in real sympathy with her. So far from being a girl or a heroine, I am a thief, as I have before suggested. I mind me of how, not long since, I stole $3. A woman whom I know rather well and lives near called me into her house as I was passing and asked me to do an errand for her. She was having an ornate gown made, and she needed some more appliqué with which to festoon it. The appliqué cost $9 a yard. My trusting neighbor gave me a bit of the braid for a sample and two $20 bills. I was to get 4 yards. I did so, and came back and gave her the braid and $1. The other $3 I kept myself. I wanted $3 very much, to put with a few that I already had in my purse. My trusting neighbor is of the kind that throws money about carelessly. I knew she would not pay any attention to a little detail like that. She was deeply interested in her new frock. Or perhaps she would think that I had got $39 worth of appliqué. At any rate, she did not need the money, and I wanted $3, and so I stole it. I am a thief. It has been suggested to me that I am a kleptomaniac, but I am sure my mind is perfectly sane. I have no such excuse. I am a plain downright thief. This is only one of my many peculations. I steal money or anything that I want, whenever I can, nearly always. It amuses me, and one must be amused. I have only 2 stipulations: that the person to whom it belongs does not need it pressingly, and that there is not the smallest chance of being found out. And of course I could not think of stealing from my one friend. It would be extremely inconvenient to be known as a thief merely. When the world knows you are a thief, it blinds itself completely to your other attributes. It calls you a thief, and there's an end. I am a genius as well as a thief, but the world would quite overlook that fact. A thief's a thief, says the world. That is very true, but the mere fact of being a thief should not exclude the consideration of one's other traits. When the world knows you are a Methodist minister, for instance, it will admit that you may also be a violinist or a chemist or a poet, and will credit you therefore. And so, if it condemns you for being a thief, it should at the same time admire you for being a genius. If it does not admire you for being a genius, then it has no right to condemn you for being a thief. And why the world should condemn anyone for being a thief, when there is not within its confines anyone who is not a thief in some way, is a bit of irony upon which I have wasted much futile logic. I am not trying to justify myself for stealing. I do not consider it a thing that needs to be justified, any more than walking or eating or going to bed. But as I say, if the world knew that I am a thief without being first made aware with emphasis that I am some other things also, then the world would be a shade cooler for me than it already is, which would be very cool indeed. And so in writing my portrayal I have dwelt upon other things at some length before touching on my thieving propensities. None of my acquaintances would suspect that I am a thief. I look so respectable, so refined, so nice, so inoffensive, so sweet even. But for that matter, I am a great many things that I do not appear to be. The woman from whom I stole the $3, if she reads this, will recognize it. This will be inconvenient. I fervently hope she may not read it. It is true she is not the kind that reads. But after all, it's of no consequence. This portrayal is Mary MacLane, her wooden heart, her young woman's body, her mind, her soul. The world may run and read. I will tell you what I did with the $3. In Dublin Gulch, which is a rough quarter of Butte inhabited by poor Irish people, there lives an old world-soured, wrinkled-faced woman. She lives alone in a small, untidy house. She swears frightfully like a parrot, and her reputation is bad. So bad, indeed, that even the old woman's compatriots in Dublin Gulch do not visit her lest they damage their own. It is true that the profane old woman's morals are not good, have never been good judged by the world's standards. She bears various marks of cold, rough handling on her mind and body. Her life has all but run its course. She is worn out. Once in a while I go to visit this old woman. My reputation must be sadly damaged by now. I sit with her for an hour or two and listen to her. She is extremely glad to have me there. Except me, she has no one to talk to but the milkman, the groceryman, and the butcher. So always she is glad to see me. There is a certain bond of sympathy between her and me. We are fond of each other. When she sees me picking my way towards her house, her hard, sour face softens wonderfully, and a light of distinct friendliness comes into her green eyes. Don't